Hey everyone, good morning. We're going to be talking about how to find the surface area of cylinders today. Oh my gosh, how do we spell? There we go. Cylinders today. Okay? So a cylinder is like a can. It looks something like this. Okay, let's just do my best drawing here. No big deal. Okay, pretty good. And there's this circle, of course, underneath. Okay, so cylinders are the easiest in terms of calculations because there's not much to do, but they're also a tiny bit abstract, and I'll tell you why. The top and the bottom are just circles, okay? And we're going to have to use pi, so the numbers are going to be a little bit ugly because we're using 3.14, right? So all we have in a cylinder is there's two circles, okay, the top and bottom, and they're always the same, right? This circle on the top here is the same as this one on the bottom, okay? So we just have to find the area of one of them, and then we can times it by 2. So let's do a quick review here. So the area of a circle is pi times the radius times the radius, okay? A lot of times online you'll see pi r squared. These mean the same thing. I tell kids to use this because it is foolproof. Sometimes kids will mess up and times this by this and then square the answer. We don't want to do that. So pi times r times r. It's typically, you can't go wrong. Okay. So what we would do is go pi times r, and that would give us the area of, say, this top circle or the bottom, whatever you want to consider. And then we will times it by 2 to get both together, okay? So in a cylinder, the top, to find the area of the top and bottom, we are simply going to take pi times the radius, and then times 2. Okay? And then whatever we get for our answer here is the top and bottom. Okay? So that's pretty straightforward. Now, with cylinders, there is another face or another side that we have to consider. And I call it the roundy part around the sort of like this part that goes around. And it goes, let's see here if I can draw something kind of fancy. So there's this roundy part. Okay? Not bad. That goes around. Now, what in the world, what shape is that? Like, I don't know, it's kind of this roundy circle sort of, I mean, it's got straight edges here, right? Up and down, they're perpendicular with the base. They're 90 degrees, so they're straight up and down. But then they kind of go around this curve. Like, what in the world shape is that? So I'm going to tell you what it is. I'll give myself some room here. What it is it's actually a rectangle, okay? If you were to pretend that this was a can of soup, okay? So we got the top, the bottom, and then we've got this label on it, right? If we were to take the label off and sort of unravel it, it would in fact be a rectangle, something like, maybe even a little bit bigger, something like this, okay, the soup label. So the round part around the outside of a cylinder is in fact a rectangle, okay? Doesn't look like it, but it is, okay? Again, pretend there's a soup label on here, okay? Campbell's, I don't know, cream of mushroom or whatever. And if you were to take it off, it would be this sticker, right? Sort of this label that goes all the way around the whole can. But when we unravel it and sort of like open it up, we do in fact get a rectangle. Okay, so far so good? All right, so let's just do a recap. Cylinders have a top and bottom that are circles. Okay, we find them by finding the area of 1 pi times the radius, and then we can multiply by 2, and that will include the top and the bottom. The other side, the other thing to consider for surface area of a cylinder is this middle roundy part, which is a rectangle. Now, the tricky part, or sort of, it's kind of abstract, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess I never really pictured that way, and I would show you in person, but it's going to be kind of hard. The dimensions of this rectangle, remember when we're finding the area of a rectangle, it's the horizontal by the vertical, okay? So this measurement here, the vertical measurement, is just going to be the same as the height of the can, okay? So these two measurements are straightforward. Whatever, and you're always going to be given them in the problem, so you'll know how tall the can is. So this is that measurement. This measurement, the horizontal measurement, is from here to here. And this is actually, and here's the weird part, this is actually the distance, right? If we were to, the soup can label would go all the way around the circle like so, right? So in this rectangle, we have the height of the can as the vertical measurement, and the horizontal measurement is the same as the distance around a circle, okay? And what is that called? The distance around, like say, the fancy word for the perimeter of a circle. What's it called? It's called the circumference, right? So this sort of last side here, we need to find the area of, to find the surface area of a cylinder. It's the height of the can, the vertical measurement multiplied by the circumference of the circle, okay? And that's how we find it. So we would just find the circumference of the circle and times it by like the height of the can, or however tall the however tall the can is, and that'll give us our answer, okay? So I'm going to call it the roundy part, because that's the technical term for it. Roundy part is a rectangle, so we will multiply the height of the can, or the height of the cylinder, or whatever it is, multiplied by the circumference, and whatever that is our area of that middle part. So to summarize, once we find this measurement and add this one to it, we put them together, and that is the surface area of a cylinder. Okay, so let's try an example. Okay, let's take a look at a cylinder here. Okay, and we're going to find the surface area of it. So I'm just going to put these little dotted lines so you can see the part underneath. All right, now the only measurements I need to give you are, let's say the height of it is 10 centimeters, and the radius is 8 centimeters. Okay, we're going to find the surface area of the cylinder. Here we go. First thing, let's get the easy ones out of the way. So the area of the top and bottom, they're both circles. Okay, so we're going to multiply pi. Actually, I'll write the formula so you can see it again. We're going to go pi times the radius times 2, because that'll give us the top and bottom, right? Once we know one of them, we can just multiply it by 2 and we have both. So our numbers are 3.14 is pi, right? Radius is 8. So we're going to times it by itself. And then we're going to times it by 2. So quick number crunch here. Oh, I do not like that. Quick number crunch here. and we get 401.92, we're talking about area, centimeters squared. Okay, so that's the area of the top and bottom of the cylinder. Now we're going to find the area of the roundy part, which is the technical term for that. Trust me, I went to university, I know these things. And to find it, it's the height of the can, right, times the circumference of the circle. Now, in my introduction to this, we didn't cover this, but you should know it from last year. How do we find the circumference of a circle? The circumference of a circle is pi times the diameter, okay? So essentially the formula for this roundy part is the height times pi times the diameter of the circle, and that will get us our answer. So with our numbers that we have, we've got the height is 10, okay? 10's coming from here. And then we're going to multiply it by pi times 3.14. And then we're going to times it by the diameter of the circle. Now, I just gave you the radius. Okay, so the diameter is defined as the chord that is drawn through the center of the circle all the way across, right? So if we know half of it is 8, the full distance would have to be 16. So we're going to times this by 16. And a quick number crunch here. 10 times 3.14 times 16 gives us 502.40 centimeters squared. So the last thing we have to do is add the roundy part plus the two circles together, and that will give us our surface area of this cylinder. So we just add those two numbers up, and we get the surface area is 904.32 centimeters squared. And that's it. So that's all we do. I'll do a quick review here. Area of the top and bottom are circles. Pi times r will give us one of the circles. The radius is 8. 3.14 times 8 times 8. And I'm going to multiply it by 2, so we get the top and the bottom. So that's all done here. The area of the round part, this sort of, the soup can label, right, all the way around, is height times the circumference, okay? So the height of the can is 10. The circumference is pi times the diameter, so 10 times pi. And then the diameter I didn't give you, but we know if the radius is 8, the full distance has to be double that, right? So that's where this 16 comes from, okay? So 10 times pi times 16 gives us this, and the only last step we have to do is add them together. So 401.92 plus 502.40 gives us a total surface area of this cylinder to be 904.32 centimeters squared. And that's how you find the surface area of a cylinder.
Dad.
Bye for now. Yes?
Why are you talking so much?
That's my daughter. She is watching me do this. And she's bored. And she's 4 years old. Okay, bye guys.